PolyLive, Episode 1. Welcome to PolyLive. This live webcast allows incoming students to talk to different people on campus. Our hosts for this season are Brittany and Antonio, and they will be with us throughout the entire summer. This is a recording of the episode broadcasted on Monday, June 6, 2011. Our guests were Penny Bennett and Brad Kiker, representatives from the College of Liberal Arts and the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Scientists. What follows is an audio recording of the show. In the future, we will have both video and audio available for download. If you think of any questions you would like to have answered, either about this episode or any future episodes, please email us at orientation@calpoly.edu. Your questions are what make our episodes work.
Into the question and answer portion of the show. So like I mentioned before, you can send us questions beforehand online to orientation@calpoly.edu, or if you're watching live right now, you can send us some questions from the chat channel, and we'll answer them. Our moderators will look at them and they'll answer them for you, and sometimes we'll take questions and answer them live.
Awesome. So if when we're done with this, you have any follow-up questions that maybe didn't get answered or are more specific for our guests, you can email us at orientation@calpoly.edu, and we'll make sure to forward that to the correct person to answer that for you. All right, so why don't we get to our first questions here? The first question we have is, how can advising help me graduate in 4 years from Cal Poly? So,
that's from Kobe in the chat.
Yeah, great question. We actually implemented a policy this year called expected academic progress. And what that states is that we want a student to graduate obviously in 4 years, but we track that specifically to look at 20% in their first year, 45% their second year, 75% their third, and of course 100% in their fourth year. So along with that, we not only have the policy in place, but again, we're emphasizing the use of academic advisors to help them get the classes, get the degree applicable units they need to meet that requirement. So for parents and students alike, it's always important that we have a plan that students can graduate in 4 years.
So how does an academic advisor differ from something like a club advisor?
An academic advisor, whether it's a faculty academic advisor or professional advisor, is really going to help you more with academics in terms of the classes that you take, how you build a balanced, successful schedule, and then things that you can be doing throughout the quarter, academic plans for support and success, tapping into those resources I mentioned earlier, and so on. So that's more the academic. The club advisor is the faculty or staff member who supervises the activities of a club, making sure that they meet administrative demands, making sure that they meet objectives and maybe goals for the type of club that it is and their activities, and just sort of helps guide along and make it a very a learned and sometimes even academic exercise in and of itself through the club activities. So just providing some supervision and guidance.
So Kobe again wants to know, when they come to Cal Poly, will the freshmen get a plan to see what their future looks like for the next 4 years or however many years they're here at Cal Poly?
Yeah, when students first come here, we do something called block scheduling. So when they first start as freshmen, they'll have a schedule already prepared for them. It's the only time we do that at Cal Poly, is their first quarter here. At that point, then, for the rest of their winter quarter and spring quarter, then they would plan their own schedules, again with help from us. And so then, that kind of gives them a one-year plan. But certainly, yeah, again, planning for those 4 years, using your priority registration system in a sensible way, and kind of planning ahead to get through all those courses in a timely way.
All right, this seems like a pretty common question here. Can I change my major? Next question.
The answer is yes, you can change majors. And the follow-up to that is it can be a rather involved and multi-quarter and competitive process. So it's absolutely essential that if you are interested in changing majors, that one, you keep your grades up in order to be competitive in that process, and two, that you build good allies and relationships in the process. We have new policies that are in place that we are strictly enforcing this coming academic year, that there's now what is called the Individualized Change of Major Agreement. And you can learn more of the details of that when you come for SOAR or when you start to get advising in your major, but you're not eligible to change majors until after your first quarter, so you need to stick with your schedule of classes that you get as a freshman, and do what you can to explore your current major and give it a shot. And then after that first quarter, you can begin to talk to some of those people involved, both from the department that you're currently in and the target department of where you want to go. And they can help you start to put the pieces in place, prerequisite courses, prerequisite GPAs, that kind of thing. So a lot of times there's a lot of steps that need to be fulfilled along the way.
So Nathan one from the chat wants to know, how can I double major? Is there a process?
Again, that kind of varies from college to college. So there are some colleges that will say, you know, you cannot add another major within their college. You need to be done in 4 years, and there's no negotiations. In the College of Liberal Arts, we have some flexibility, I would say, and it depends on what the major is. I think the easy answer, it really depends on what the two majors are. So for example, in a lot of our majors we have free electives that students can take, and so if they can show that they can complete 2 majors within 4 years, or 4 years, no more than 204 units, which is basically 24 units beyond their major. So there are certain criteria. Again, some colleges allow it, some don't, and the easy answer is it depends on the majors.
Awesome. And Nathan also wants to know if it's possible for him to do that from 2 different colleges, so have a major from 2 different colleges on campus.
Okay, yeah, so I'll just follow up with that. Again, it depend. I'm responsible in our college, College of Liberal Arts, to do majors, and we do have some that come from outside and will add one of our majors. I would say if you're coming, say, from one of our colleges and wanting to add something in the College of Business, it's probably not going to be likely. So again, it depends on the colleges and the programs, but it's possible, but again, it would depend.
Great. So this question is for the parents. What are the best ways for parents to get involved with their students' academics?
Well, there are all kinds of very constructive ways for a family, you know, parents and families to support from home. And then there are ways that I guess the best way to say it are not necessarily in the best interest of the student. We do have a thing, one of the lead things I like to say in response to this is that there is a federal statute in place called the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act of 1974 that keeps us federally accountable to maintaining and preserving the confidentiality of our students. And even though mom and dad might be paying the bill, that does not relieve us of our responsibility to protect their privacy and protect their confidentiality of whether or not they even are a student at Cal Poly, or certainly their academic record at Cal Poly, or any status of being on academic probation or not. We have a wonderful program here called the Cal Poly Parent Program, and I really strongly encourage parents to start getting involved with the Cal Poly Parent Program. And there's even a parent program at SOAR for freshman students to bring their families. That is just a whole host of really constructive ways that parents can support from home.
Great, thank you.
All right, so our next question here is, how can I learn to register for classes? And with that, we have Brittany from chat, great name. She's asking if at SOAR you're going to sit down with an advisor and plan your schedule ahead of time.
So again, schedules will be pre-planned when students come to SOAR, so they won't necessarily plan their fall schedule, but what they might do is look at what potential winter and spring schedules will be. And that doesn't mean a student can't change their fall schedule, but generally the departments have looked at the schedule for freshmen and said, these are the courses we would really like you to take your first quarter. So advisor will be available, but again, the planning part for that quarter will already be done. And so it would be maybe freshman year planning we'd look at for SOAR.
And then I'll follow up, because there was a piece of Brittany's question about how do I learn to do that, and even though that might not, as Penny said, that may not be taking place right at SOAR or initially, there'll be opportunities for you to learn how to register for your classes in the middle of fall quarter as we begin to open up registration for winter quarter at the end of fall quarter. So there will be opportunities for that.
So Matt from the chat, he says that his friends have mentioned something about a flow chart. What is that exactly?
Flow charts are, many majors here on campus offer a flow chart. And I know in my college we do, every single major has one, and they are specific to catalog and for the curriculum, where the curriculum is just all the degree requirements, major classes, support classes, GE classes. The flow chart takes all of those course requirements and plots them out on a rough 4-year plan. It is not gospel, certainly, but it is a rough estimation of how one could get through their curriculum in a 4-year plan. So we have them available, and many colleges have them available online for students to look at. They're a great planning tool to print out and keep with you and kind of know about and use it in conjunction with tentative course offerings and that a lot of departments make available. So you're anticipating the next move and knowing, because sometimes there's going to be classes that are only maybe offered once a year in, say, winter quarter, and you got to get that class in that winter quarter or you're going to be waiting a whole year, and it can kind of provide a block a little bit or a hurdle in getting through the curriculum in a timely way. So flowcharts are a great planning tool.
Alright, so Brittany from the chat is actually a transfer student, and she was wondering how SOAR will make your schedule for transfer students. Is it a special way? Does it work differently? And will your schedules already made also for fall quarter?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brittany. I hadn't caught that you were a transfer student. So the transfer students are different in that they will plan their schedule at SOAR. And so the day that you come is actually also the day that students will register for their classes. So yes, in that case, she's actually correct. We will help you plan and register for your courses on that day.
So this question pertains to me a lot because I'm not a morning person. But if I'm scheduled for an early morning class and I'm not a morning person, what can I do to change that?
Well, for freshmen, you're going to be blocked into classes. So there is a time shortly after SOAR concludes in mid-August that is open on an alpha rotation by last name that freshmen are allowed to get in and make some necessary changes. There won't be a lot of wiggle room. There will be, because class demand is very, very high. So if you have a block schedule and you have, say 16 units of degree applicable coursework, you should count yourself fortunate because this is a huge system and a huge program that we do with block scheduling for all of our students coming in. So Certainly, I strongly encourage students as I work with them and counsel them every quarter on building a balanced schedule, getting back to what I referred to at the beginning of our time today, that taking into account the type of learner that you are, that if you're not a morning person, you did better in the afternoon, that's great. But I'd also with that say in fall quarter with the block schedule, you might need to just make do and really push yourself through those natural tendencies because you won't be given priority to make switches if you already have a class just to shift it to a different time or to a different instructor or something like that. That flexibility is going to come later.
I know from personal experience that you won't always get the opportunity to choose your own class, like your own time slot. And even though I'm not a morning person and I have had early morning classes, sometimes you just need to roll with the punches.
Yeah, with that said, there are certain times where there's a class you need to take and then you're like, oh no, it's only offered at this time and you don't know if it's offered another quarter, so you kind of have to just take it. But with that, someone's asking from the chat that they heard that college is a lot harder than high school, and they want to know of how they can adjust to studying for college courses since it's often heard as being a heavier workload.
Yeah, great question. We will have a campaign called the 25-35 campaign that the students will be hearing about. That basically is a campaign that says that you need to put 25 to 35 hours additional outside of your class time into studying when you come to college. And I think in the high school we sometimes see that reverse, where much of the homework and studying might be done in the classroom and maybe less time outside of the classroom. That's kind of the opposite at the college level. And students have told me, and you guys can comment on this, that it really takes until their first midterm, they kind of, and maybe even their first quarter before they really understand, how to study and how much time to put in. And, maybe you guys want to talk a few minutes about that.
I know coming from high school, I didn't think that I would need to study or do as much homework by myself outside of class. Like Penny said, in high school, a lot of time you do work in class as opposed to out of class. And we have a really, really great library that you guys can utilize. I know I spend a lot of time there, especially during finals week. And it's a growing experience. It's about taking responsibility for yourself. You're not going to have, your teacher or your parent there to tell you, get on your work, do this, do that. It really takes a lot of your own effort to take it upon yourself to get your work done.
I'd say even though that your teachers aren't going to be like watching everything you do, they definitely set out time for you to meet up with them in their office hours. They schedule, and I think that's helped me a lot. If I ever had something that was harder for me or was moving really fast, most professors on campus are always willing to meet with you, or you can go in at their open office hour time and get some advising from them personally since they instruct the class. And of course your advisor is always there too to speak with you about it. So.
We also have a lot of helpful resources on campus specifically for studying and for academic skills in general. We don't make the assumption that everybody just naturally knows how to be a good university student, especially at a university where the academic rigor is very high. The quantity of the work, the quality of the work is going to be at an expectation that's much higher than most students, even transfer students, are used to. And plus we're on this thing called the 10-week quarter, and it's really, really fast. So we have weeks 3 through 6, we have free workshops on everything from note-taking, test-taking strategies, test preparation, textbook reading, time management, stress management, avoiding procrastination, all these different types of study skill seminars through our Academic Skills Center in the library. And I really strongly encourage students to take those proactively before you're in academic trouble. But I require it of my students who are in academic trouble. But I think an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and it is absolutely a great way to be proactive about your studies and learn how to be a good student.
That's actually a great segue to the next question. Say that math or English is not my strong suit. Is there extra help available to me to help me do better in those types of classes that I can go to?
Yeah, as Brad mentioned, there's a wealth of resources available. In the writing area, we have a university writing and rhetoric lab that's open to any student, and it has a ton of open hours available for students to go have your papers looked at, have someone look at them, give some tips, then you could rewrite that, and then turn it in, before your final grade is issued on it. And then on the math and science side, Brad had mentioned some of the short sessions we have on study skills and that sort of thing, but we also have workshops available tied specifically to certain courses, such as calculus class or biology class or that sort of thing. So then you would actually have, essentially kind of private tutors available to help you specifically with that class. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Sure. Yeah, they just call those supplemental workshops in math or science, and you actually carry them like an extra unit, and it's a place for that that's specially set in your schedule for accountability to get in there and get extra help in whatever math or science course they are associated with. So really strongly recommend that people take those. Certainly if your particular major requires a higher level math or science, that's a great way to do it. And then if you find that you need that and you don't have in your block schedule a section of that math or science class that has the supplemental workshop with it, you can also get the same type of help through a program called Study Session. And there'll be people at SOAR to tell you about both of those programs, but we strongly recommend them, and we find that students on average perform at a higher grade level that participate in those programs than those who do not.
Peer tutoring is a great way to help yourself. I know I have a twin sister, and she's a math major, and she got all the math smarts. I didn't really get any of those. So my freshman year, when I took math classes, your teachers really do care about you a lot. Don't underestimate how much they really care about your education. So a lot of the time, I know in my classes, there were teachers that offered peer tutoring in the same class that you were in. Just students that were doing better than you. They'd ask, if they'd volunteer to help you out. And I took advantage of that opportunity, and it really helped me out a lot.
So one more question from Brittany regarding SOAR and the transfer student program there. She was asking if there's also a parent session for the transfer students when they come to SOAR.
No, there is not a parent session with the transfer program. When transfer students come, most of our focus is in the really intense work of figuring out all those classes that are going to articulate or specifically transfer to satisfy degree requirements, because they've already been to college for 2 to 3 years before they come in. I will, as a follow-up to your question, Brittany, is to share with you that oftentimes when students are asking about the scheduling that's going to be done, a frequently asked question then as a follow-up is, how will they know? How will they know, and how will I get those classes that I need based on what I've already taken and so on? And what we do is we reserve blocks of classes in our upper division type courses that we want our transfer students to take, and then we provide them, most of our advisors in most of the colleges provide them with a list of courses that we strongly recommend for the transfer students of a specific major. So we've done our very level best that we can to reserve those spots for frequently taken courses by transfer students.
Great. One more question that we have is Kobe from the chat asked, one of the SOAR dates is for athletes. Is that just for athletes, or can other incoming freshmen go to that as well?
That day is not just for athletes. It's every single college has a variety of days, and I believe the way that it is published on the website and any printed material that they've have received in the mail is there's an asterisk next to one or two of those dates within each college, and that's when it is strongly recommended that a student athlete in that college attend on that particular day, because that's where you'll be able to have athletics advising as well to keep up with those NC2A requirements.
Awesome. Yeah, so you're saying for those NCAA days for the recruited athletes, other people can also attend those sessions as well. Okay. Perfect. All right, so thank you for answering all those questions for us. And we want to give some shout-outs to some people in the chat from A Hold House, Brittany, Iris, Catherine, Kobe, Matt, Nathan One, Olivia, and SGL. Thank you for all your questions. And thank you, Penny and Brad, for being with us. You did a great job.
So just some reminders. Our next Poly Live episode will be June 17th at 4 p.m. again, and we'll be covering healthy lifestyles at Cal Poly, because we all know it's a little hard to take your daily vitamin when your mom isn't there to tell you to do it.
Yeah. All right, so start thinking of some questions to ask us. Maybe it's about hygiene or how you can eat well in the dorms when your mom isn't there cooking vegetables for you, or and whatnot. So why don't you tune in or send us questions to orientation@calpoly.edu, and we are going to be posting all our archives from Season 1 on the website as well. So thank you. Our next episode is Friday, June 17th at 4 p.m., and we're going to be covering healthy lifestyles then.
So, Brittany, what's something you want the audience to take away from the day, from academic advising?
I think mainly is just to know that your advisors are there for you. Like, as I was saying earlier, most people don't really get on it early, I'd say. When I first came in as a freshman, I didn't meet with my advisor until, I'd say, spring quarter, and I think that if I had met with her earlier, I would have kind of outlined things better and organized myself better. And they really do keep records of what you meet with them about, so you can come back and maybe if you forgot something you talked about, you can outline your classes better for yourself, and it really helps to keep on track with your advisor and know what your plan is. So.
Some advice that I would give you guys is don't stress out. It really is on you guys to make an effort to go see your advisors, but if you make that effort, it'll be so much easier on yourselves. You know, don't wait till the day before you have to register for classes come winter quarter, you know, to figure out what classes you need to take. You know, go a few weeks in advance, meet with your counselor, your advisor, and they'll help you figure that out.
All right, so yeah, just to sum it up, go to orientation.calpoly.edu/polylive, and you can also go on iTunes to watch us. So lastly, I'm Brittany.
I'm Antonio.
And thank you for watching Poly Live.